Hi, this is Mike Davis. I'm the Communications Director with the Finksburg Planning and Citizens Council. I want to introduce tonight, we're very fortunate. We have our Commissioner Richard Weaver to tell us what's going on in the county and answer any questions that anyone may have. So I'm going to keep my introduction short and hand it right on over. Thank you, Commissioner Weaver.
Well, thank you. I love talking with the FPACC group. As I said many times, you are the voice of Finksburg. You're the only one that has any combined voice to air your concerns or views on things. And I've used FPACC many times in the past to get a handle on how we're going to be dealing with issues. And I appreciate the work you all do. And I know this, you get a great salary out of this, all the time you put in and the effort, but it's greatly appreciated. I want to start, we started 2020. I had great expectations. We started with, the Board of Education. We were going to be able to give raises. We had it all ironed out, budget, how it could work together. The community college was going to be a priority for a change, and hopefully we're going to be able to give them money for salaries that they've been shortchanged on many years. And our roads, we will maybe bring some of those back from a few years out and try to work on them. Well, as you know, in March, we had a little bit of a setback, and we had a 2-week delay that was going to hopefully solve all this. And here we are 6 months later, and we still haven't solved the issue. And I guess COVID is our biggest obstacle at the present time. Presently, the governor was talking to us last week, and he said he looked to it and equated this to being at halftime. Not the fact that we have we're over the hump or anything. We're at halftime in this, and we still have to wear the mask, keep the social distancing, wash your hands, and we can get through this. Presently, Carroll County for the last week, starting at the end of September, it was 45 cases. We're up to 63. Last week we went up, or 2 weeks ago, to 70. We dropped down to 60 again as of the 11th. And most of those were in the 18 to 29-year-old group. And now it's moving to the 30 to 45 age group. So I think what they, from the health department, they started with a younger group, and they were kind of carriers. Now it's moving to the older groups. We have about 1 or 2 deaths per week, and usually they're over 65 to 70 years of age, the one that pass away from this. The death average age is, I think, 78 for the state, for the county here, and they range from age 43 to 103. So it's all over the place where things are happening there. The health department did say, we have the testing at Shipley Arena in Westminster. It's a drive-through. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday. I think the dates, and they were going to try to reevaluate that. And they may change the days the 1st of November. Depends how many outbreaks we have at the present time. Our whole world as a commissioner has been around coronavirus and what it's doing to the county and what it's doing to individuals. And, one of our jobs is public safety. And we have to look out for all people in the county to keep them safe. And no matter, we have people who do not want to wear masks. We have people who, think things are bogus, but we have people dying. We have people getting sick. We have to look out for everyone here. And keep in mind, that's the mission of the commissioners, is one of the things is public safety and to keep Carroll County safe. The couple of the areas that really deal with this, the rec councils, we had to cancel some sports for a while, contact football and those type things, but they're back on the fields now. And the coaches have done a tremendous job of keeping, I think, our children safe, and the outbreaks are not coming from that area. However, we do have a major concern as indoor sports start here in the fall. We don't have facilities now, schools being in partial shutdown, don't have indoor facilities for wrestling, for basketball, and the indoor sports. I think they have Robert Moten has a small gym. The old North Carroll High School has facilities, and there's one other one in the county. Aside from that, there isn't much available for indoors at the present time. And just keep in mind, with COVID, you have 5 times higher risk of dying than with the flu. So that's just some issues we have, or food for thought for the future. As we look through, I said this, we started in March, we were into budget, and we started our review of the budget for the county, and we got to the point we could pass the 2020 budget, and we got through that, but we thought we'd open it up in the fall again and come back and look when things were over, and we were able to reevaluate and open the budget back up and replace some of the things we had to cut. Well, it doesn't look any better than it did in the spring. We don't have any more news or any more money to deal with, and it's hard to budget if you have nothing. If you have something to budget, you can, but budget nothing is very difficult, or anything different. So we decided not to reopen the budget in the fall. We're going to wait till spring and go through the budget process, and hopefully things will improve. At the present time, I know that the governor is fighting for stimulus packages to help boost the state economy, and it trickles on down to the county. Our biggest shortfall has been the income tax, and that's our second largest revenue in the county. First is property taxes, and then it's income taxes that the state gives to us. Now, there's no set formula for what they're going to give us. Each quarter, we get our share, and we're thankful to get whatever, and it's usually been fairly generous, and it keeps us going. However, at the present time, this year, income tax wasn't affected as much as we thought, and has been relatively stable through 2020. However, we're starting to look at state shortfalls and projections. And right now, the state is FY21 is 700 million short. FY22 is 1 billion short. And this, and this depends on federal stimulus packages. And if we get through the winter without a spike, we may see an increase of money into these areas. If we go back into a major spike in COVID, we're not sure what it's going to do to our budget for the 20 into 21 and into 22. So this is a major problem to us. What are we going to do? We really don't know at this time. Now, normally the county, where do you get money? You raise property taxes. But this is not the time to do that. This is a time when people are stressed. Some people are just making it, and people are either doing very well or they're not. And there's not many in between, and you just can't go that route at this time. And we know that this is a bad time. We're going to have to really tighten our belts and budget with what we have. I talked to Secretary Slater, who is the Secretary of Transportation, lives in Westminster, by the way. And, with the our master plan for the roads, 140 is still on there. It may be 2030 or 2030 before we get to it. But the improvements in the median area is all still in that plan. But he is really experiencing some shortfalls here. At the present time, let's see, what do I have? He has quite a few dollars he's had to extend out for projects. And the millions he has been shortchanged. He had, we won't do this project next year. We're extended out the following year and extend another one out the following year. So we're not going to be, under so much stress, we just spread it out a little further. But, they may have to quit mowing one time a year or something like that on the highways and some things like that, just to save funds. And, even there, we look at our budget. We're looking at everything. What do we actually need to provide? Do we have areas that maybe we don't need? We hope not, but we're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best in this whole thing from the county. So keep that in the back of your minds. The school system did open up this week with their hybrid model, and for elementary and middle school, they're really concerned about keeping a safe environment for the kids. And in November 12th, I think the high school's open. But we asked Ed Singer to keep us apprised of any outbreaks from students that would be carrying into the community, or anything that happens in what areas this would happen. So far, we're okay, but we don't know where that's, what's going to happen with that. With COVID, we had CARES relief money come in, and we've been able to, through the small business grants, put out about $3.5 million to businesses in Carroll County right now. And this is businesses, farms, restaurants, any business that needed help and could say that prove, that COVID had some issues. We've, through economic development, Jack Lyburn has put together a whole package, and he's been out dealing with people. Restaurants actually got a second wave of funds. They got their first 5,000 and maybe an additional wave if they could prove they were under stress from COVID. But here again, he and his staff were knocking on doors, walking main streets, asking people to apply for this money to get it out. And they've done a tremendous job of getting it out. If they applied, everything was met. They were in good standing with the state. They approved it. They sent it to our payroll department to send a check, cut a check to the people to try to help small businesses out there. Now, at the present time, I'm going to jump ahead here a little bit. Today, we actually discussed, we have some money in some other accounts from this COVID, and a new cold weather shop and drive local, or dine local, sorry. Just shop and dine locally to try to get some money out. We approved $500,000. If you can prove it's related to COVID and adjusted for COVID-19, if a restaurant needs the heaters that they can put under the tents, we'll pay for them or help them pay for it. There's no limit on this one. It's if you're in trouble, you need help to keep going, we're going to help you get there. Now, restaurants this is all over the place where they are and what they've done. I talked to one owner and said, I used to focus on 60 seats. Now I focus on 1,800. He found the internet. They got focused on carry out and they changed their business model to survive. And he said, it's unbelievable, but now I have 1,800 seats to worry about and make my plans for meals and stuff for that many people. So it's changed the way I think people have to look at things. I've talked to some carry out owners and they said they are doing great right now. Others are struggling, and it depends what they have, their clientele, and what they, where they are at the present time. But with that money, right now, this will be out in probably a week and a half to 2 weeks. And we really want to try to help restaurants get some funding back to help them over the winter. If, this winter is going to be, I think, a make or break situation. If we have an outbreak of COVID again, and we can't shut businesses down, they can't take it. The one-time shutdown was, I think, maxed many of them out. We have to try to stay open as best we can. And I really do worry about some of the small businesses, some of the restaurants that will need help. And that's what we're trying to help with this money. And with that, Governor Hogan today at 2:00, I didn't view his whole release here, but he has a new relief for an expansion of existing programs for business, restaurants, main streets, and tourism. And he's doubling his commitment to emergency economic relief for Marylanders up to $500 million. So we have our own little package. Hopefully we can piggyback on the governor's package when we finally know how it's going to come about, how it's going to be administered, and hopefully we'll get some extra relief to businesses and those restaurants. So we are really aware of the problems people are having with their businesses at this time and trying to help them. With this, we also have some things that are happening with some of the COVID money. We have the, where I have it here. Fire departments. We tried to get $1.5 million to the fire departments to help with their lost revenue. You know, the carnivals and all the things fire departments do is one of the things we're trying to help them through. And I was just a sideline. I was approached by a fire department that's doing some expansion. And, you know, we give fire departments some money for their EMS service or whatever. And they were going to expand and had to go through stormwater management and everything. It was going to cost them $10,000 to apply to go back and build a fire department to help our residents do our job. And this is ridiculous. We can't have fire departments paying fees. We're giving them money. They're paying fees back to us and then doing us a service. It didn't make sense. So submitted some legislation. Commissioner Wance is with me wholeheartedly here that let's take fire departments out of the fee structure, let them go ahead and if they're expanding or whatever they're doing, they don't have to pay those fees. We'll still help them with all the projects, but it only makes sense to go that way. Also, with that money, we got $400,000 to the municipalities to help Main Street a little bit here, and $8,500 to the libraries in the county is what to help them with some of their issues here with finances over this COVID. So this is all things we're coming up with now to try to help people get out of the situation that they can be in. And, you know, I had people, I guess as we're talking to businesses, and I called businesses and I stopped by a lot of them, asked them to apply. And I actually had some said, I don't need it. Give it to the people who need it. And I was really appreciative. And that is Carroll County. I think you have a lot of people, if they need help, they don't want to take it, but they will. Some said, I really don't need it. I'm financially secure. Give it to somebody that really is in trouble. And I really impressed with a lot of the people and their thoughts on things. And yet we had some people who were afraid to ask even, didn't want to take anything, but convinced some of them that, you know, this is here to help them, not to hurt them in any way. So, so much for COVID now, and that has really taken us, it's been a major focus we deal with. We get a report from the health department every week. You know, on death rate, hospital beds, everything. We get a thorough report where COVID is and what we're dealing with. So that takes up a lot of time. Now, one area I do want to change focus a little bit, and that deals with the comprehensive redistricting. And this is the book on the 625 acres, I think, that they want to talk about changing the on. And I happen to just earmark a couple of them here that may have some merit to the Finksburg area. One being right down, I think you posted it on your page here, that this was the property at the end of Old Westminster Road and Baltimore Pike, the 7 acres there. And this is a very hard document to read. They put it together in a totally different package than anybody's used to dealing with. And language that we are unfamiliar with. And I think the request zoning from C2 to commercial medium, if that's the right one. Now, maybe I got the wrong one on that one. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, this is to C2 to commercial medium. Now, the recommendations on this, it is given staff recommendations and recommendations from the planning department, and from the planning and zoning. And Department of Planning recommendation is unfavorable. Planning Commission recommendation favorable for C2 with new boundary. I've been looking through this, and the water in that area is close proximity to the Liberty Reservoir. Very many environmental constraints, and it's not appropriate to allow commercial medium on this property. The request poses significant adverse effects to the Liberty Reservoir, and that's my stand on this. At this point, we need to keep some things open in that area. I'm not going to be voting favorably for that property. However, it's got to, go through the entire Board of Commissioners at the present time. But this property is not one that, I drove by it to see exactly what we're talking about here, and I'm not happy at all with what I'm seeing as far as the change of this property. And throughout this this master plan or whatever, they have I've noticed a couple terms here. One, if I can find one here. By request comprehensive rezoning. It's by request, but several years ago, the county sent letters out asking them if they wanted to request rezoning. So I don't think it's an actual by request. I think it was poking, hey, do you want to request rezoning? And that's why we have so many of them, 29, I think, to be exact, at the present time. Normally, rezoning is by request only. Somebody wants to rezone, they go through the process and request it. Well, the county sent letters out, not a present director, by the way, but prior to, would you be interested in rezoning your property? And they talked to some people, and that's why I think we have such a big influx of rezoning properties. And these are going to be analyzed, I think, pretty closely by the commissioners at this time. Now, this is a little out of the Finksburg, but leading up to it, the second largest annexation of properties is the Reese Road and 140, the property next to the landfill. It's 300 and some acres. It's in different parcels, but they have want to change from agriculture. I think the rail line, 17 acres designated for resource conservation, light industrial in some of the areas. And if this were to go through, I have a major concern. When we do land use designations, that's a precursor to change in zoning. If we change zoning, what's going to happen, we change the zoning and say we go to industrial on part of this, and the new people come to us and say, we want sewer and water to this industrial site, you change the zoning on. And there's been a couple cases in the past, I found out in the county, where the county changed the zoning and they were held accountable to provide the services. Well, right now, we can't afford those services in the county. We can't afford to pay well, if we do, we pay the bonds or pay on the bond that we would have to use to do that. It'll cut services elsewhere in the county. So I'm really not in favor. If they don't have the sewer and water and things that are needed, hold this off for 10, 20 years, whatever. It's not going to happen anyway within that short period of time. The closest water and sewer, it's not even to the police barrack yet. So it's not, in Westminster is water allocations. I'm not in favor of many of these changes that I see happening. People move to Carroll County for one reason. They like the openness. They like to raise a family. They like the area we have. We don't want to just jump ahead and just pack in industrial development, all kind of development everywhere. And I'm very sensitive to that here and how we can work on not changing the county. And if people have concerns about a property, please give me a call. Let me know. And as I said, there's some light reading in this. This is the whole thing. If anybody wants to borrow it, Diane, you're more than welcome to look at that. So I do have issues with that. With that, we have an influx of Amish families coming into Carroll County. I think we have 7 families now, mostly in the Tawnytown area. One in Hampstead have bought properties in Carroll County. And I've actually talked to several of them. They are not familiar with our permits and what happens in the county. And they asked for some help on it, at least guidance and where to go. But they're moving from Lancaster. Apparently our land here goes for about 10,000 acres, 30,000 there. So they're moving into Maryland, into Carroll County at the present time. And we have quite 7, I said, families at the present time looking to build their farm. Most of them are doing something with produce or some kind of food. Most of them are thinking of growing, milking cows and growing tobacco. And these are some of their mainstays. I will say one of the ones I was dealing with, his major focus was getting the horse barn up. That came before anything else, the house or anything. The horse barn had to be built before they went anywhere else. And a little different dealing with this, but it's been interesting and very, very nice people to deal with. And I will say it's it's going to be an interesting time. Wednesdays we may see a horse and buggy going down the road or in the future. On that note, I do want to mention, put a plug in for the Farm Museum. Free Fridays and food trucks. And Joanne Went has put together a program. They've taken a major hit as far as revenue this year. But I think on October 9th, they had 443 people, the 16th, 342. And on the 30th, Mike, I see you have a Snoopy picture there. You might want to dress up in costume. Kids of all ages can go, and they'll give a small prize to them for attending the food truck and if they're in costume for that night. So the Farm Museum is just trying to get people out in the fresh air, out in the open to try to help them get started. I'm going down my list here, so it may take a little bit. Some good news. We talked to Secretary Owens, Secretary of Veterans Affairs in the state of Maryland, and I will give Ed Rothstein a lot of credit. We were at a Lions Club meeting in Eldersburg, and we started talking about a veterans home. And I mentioned to Ed, we have the land, state land right here in Eldersburg, 1,000 acres that's owned by the state because they were looking at moving in Montgomery County and they had to buy a golf course. So being the unselfish person he is, he took it right away. He said, you don't have to go there. We have land here. Where is it? And anyway, we got the final approval. Secretary Owens is working on right behind the armory that's going up in before you get to Sykesville. They're looking at a veterans home in Eldersburg. And this will house 125 veterans. The idea is a wagon wheel, the housing around the outside, services into the center. And this is a neat project. I think we have one there, but this is in Maryland, Charlotte Hall, I believe, but this is very similar for veterans that don't have homes or anywhere else. It'll be in Eldersburg there, and which is a little economic boost to the county. With that, you may have read in the paper the VIP Veterans Independent Project that is separate from county, but I'm going to mention that Frank Valente has spent years putting this thing together. They finally found a site in John Street in Westminster, and their idea is no homeless veterans in Carroll County. Any veteran that needs help getting jobs, needs help in training or anything like that, it is here. And they are up and started. If you need anything about it, I can help get that. They need funding, they need help, but they are presently looking to hire a director to put all this together and make it happen for veterans. And Carroll County has a great veterans community. I think it's 14,000 in the state, in the county, and looking to help veterans in any way we possibly can. If they need transportation, we have the Mad Dog shuttles, 3 of them, pick you up, take them to wherever they have to go to, if it's Martinsburg or Baltimore, or wherever, and bring them back with that. And we're also, Mark Fraser, we're also looking for articles for veterans, and they're trying to get something into the newspaper at least once a month, an article about a veteran. You have an interesting history there in this one, but any article people want to write about veterans or services, we're trying to get them into the newspaper at least once a month to let people know that this is out here. And this is through the Veterans Advisory Committee. But the writer you are, you'd be great at this, and they could help and get in contact with me. I'll put you in Leslie Wagner and get the information we need. Now, on another note, I will mention, several years ago, right when I got in office, and that's 6 years now. Wow, long time. I had some members of Gamber Fire Department contact me and said, we're in trouble. We need volunteers. We need people to man fire trucks. And I heard this, and these are people I've known for years, and said, you're going to have to help us with this. And this was one of those things that started, then I started doing the research on it, and really we started moving in that direction, looking at it. What are we going to do? And we need a combination fire department, some paid, some volunteers. In Carroll County, we have the CC Visa, which is a volunteer fire group. Carroll County actually gives about $13 million a year to CC Visa to help fund EMS services and whatever they needed for. They divvy it up between the 14 independent fire departments. Now, the 14 independent fire departments, we have no say over those fire departments whatsoever. However, they said, we're going to need help paying people, getting people out. Last fall, as you know, we do farm some ground, and we were outside of Hampstead, and the farm next to us had a combine catch a field on fire. I happened to be there right next to it. My son is screaming bloody murder here. It's on fire down here. See what you can do. And another guy, we jumped in the truck. Of course, it has some little fire extinguishers, not much to deal with. We had all kind of apparatus from 5 different fire departments show up. And I hate to say it, but most of the drivers were 10 years older than I am. And they were here. We had apparatus. We did not have people. This is in the afternoon. We didn't have people to respond. Exactly what they've been telling us. Well, in the meantime, we've been working on hiring a director of fire and EMS services. We have that person in place presently, and he's working on the formation, and it just started, of the Carroll County Fire and EMS Department. This will be working with, and he's presently working with all the independents. How can we develop this hybrid program and put it together? Now, I think there's 92 paid EMS people in the county. They all are paid by the individual fire departments. The first step, I'm assuming this is where we're going. It could change a little bit. We will probably take over the EMS paid people, personnel, and bring them under the county. They will become county employees. With that, we're probably also going to have some engineers or drivers to help with this and then expand out from there as we go. But here again, as we go back to public safety, we have a responsibility for people in public safety. You call for an ambulance, you have the expectation within a short period of time, you're going to get an ambulance that come in and help you. If you have a fire, you're going to have a fire truck there in a short period of time. And thank God we don't have many fires in Carroll County. I will say we are very lucky. Occasionally we have a major house fire or a barn fire or something, but we don't have a whole lot. So we're in the process of putting this together. It's going to take several years to roll this out, but it's there. I heard what they said several years ago, and we've been able to start this process moving forward at this time. So that's going to be a major undertaking here in the near future. We also have an interesting community solar initiative just popped up here in the last couple weeks, and this is on ag remainders. The remainder of land where people built a housing development off the property, and they clustered the houses to one area. And there's 3,600 acres of 5 to 20 acres that are classified as remainders, unable to build on. So the state has been soliciting this and looking at us to think about these for solar panels. Now, they have to be within a mile or two of a transformer or where they can get to lines, and they want them no larger than 2 megawatts, which is a megawatt per acre, roughly, is what it equates to. So it'd be 2 acres. And right now we're in the process of reviewing this. Don't know where it's going to go. The Ag Commission and Farm Bureau do not like the idea at all. So we're going to see what happens with these. I wanted to make the ag remainders a part of the ag preservation program then, and come up with some kind of program. I've pushed that. And Diane, you were in the back of my mind on that one. But I didn't forget. But I've asked our bureau chief there how can we work this? What can we come up with a program? And I don't know where we're going to wind up with it, but it is there. We're discussing it right now. If anybody has any good ideas, I'm all ears on this. Moving on a little more, we have the landfill, and the landfill is an interesting area. Of course, it's right here in north of Finksburg, and the recycling at the present time is costing us dearly. We pay, it was $85 a ton to get rid of it now. At one time we made 15. Now it's costing us to get rid of recycling. And if I say nothing else, I see recycling totes all over the place on different days. Make sure it's clean. Contaminated recycling doesn't do anything for us. So, make sure you read the top of the lid or what's recyclable and what is good. And we're trying to work on a plan now. The landfills, it's an enterprise fund, costs us about $2 million a year to keep going. Now, just not this landfill, but all the landfills, once we close them, we have to maintain them. And the maintenance on those and everything is costs about $2 million a year. So we've been trying to come up with a way to make them at zero. We don't want to make money on them. We just want to break even at zero. And we are presently working with Northeast Waste Disposal to try to come up with a plan to join with some other counties to try to dispose of our waste and yet not cost the people of the county a whole lot of money. If you remember, a few months ago, we had to close the landfills for a few weeks. Wow, did I get phone calls. I didn't realize how many people drop their materials off, pay for them. But we needed a couple of days to get things in line. And we opened it right away or as fast as we could to Carroll County residents. Didn't realize, a lot of the counties closed down, Baltimore County and some of them, everybody was coming to Carroll because we didn't charge very much to get rid of the waste material. So it's Carroll County residents only at the present time. And some good news is yard waste will be accepted at the Hood's Mill here, I think in November 7th. They're going to open it up for the people in the southern end of the county who have yard waste. They don't have to drive to Westminster. Hood's Mill will be open certain times for yard waste only at that point. So we're working with the waste disposal with solid waste people. And we have a bureau chief now that's phenomenal on this, really understands all the players and how to go with it. I think we'll have this together I think in the next year and some of the things we can deal with. Also, October is Residents' Rights Month, and residents of our 10 nursing homes or 32 assisted living homes, the rights they even have the right to complain if they want, but they do have rights. And we recognize today the Resident Rights Month in Carroll. And, it's been tough on these people with the COVID, not having family members there. Some are outside windows talking to them and maybe virtually communicating with elderly. But if it's your parents in the nursing home or somebody you're not able to visit, that's really tough on everybody at that point. So be aware, those are things we're going to be dealing with. Let's see. Oh, I want to mention the community college a minute here. They only took a slight drop in enrollment this year. And even though they've taken a financial hit from the state, they have really done well. And I have to give them a lot of credit for making things happen. And right in the middle of this is the Middle States accreditation. And if you're not familiar with Middle States accreditation, it's a self-awareness study that is monitored by others that come in and make recommendations or accolades to what you've done right, or recommendations to what you're not doing maybe exactly right, and you get their accreditation. And it's a big process and it's a costly process, but I think November 16th, they do have their first virtual meeting with the Middle States accreditation team. I actually chaired one for high school, and you think that book with the comprehensive rezoning is thick. You ought to see what you have to write in an accreditation program. But these are all very valuable things we have to go through. CVC I want to touch on a couple things, made a change today. Close contact for over 15 minutes, not all at one time. It can be accumulated, is the way they're looking at contacts now. Usually at first it was 15 minutes of duration of 15 minutes, but they found out COVID actually carries, it may not just that short exposure, but if you're exposed to somebody off and on, off and on, off and on for over 15 minutes, your chances are increased on of maybe getting that. So that's significant with things we have to deal with. And let's see. Okay. I don't know if anybody watched any of the Utah elections. Both candidates did a commercial on working together. And I thought that was kind of unique. You can get it on YouTube if you want, but for a commercial for opposing candidates to work together, to do a commercial together and say it's all about working together in the community, I was amazed by that. And that leads us into the voting and where we are presently with our elections here. And I just had the conversation a little bit before we got on air. As it stands at the moment, around 6,000 ballots are being canvassed tomorrow. They have received over 21,000 ballots so far in Carroll County, and they are being counted. These will be, I think, the first ones announced in election night. And now the only problem they've had is some voters who refuse to wear a mask. And, okay, the problems are with some voters, but they have lost some election judges over the past couple of weeks because of close contact with so many people. But I have to shout out to Katie Berry and the election board. They have done one fantastic job in Carroll County. If you, hopefully you voted or you're going to vote, I can almost guarantee there will not be any corruption or anything else in the ballots. Katie, I have a great deal of confidence in her and her team. She has looked out for everything, make sure there's not a stone unturned to make sure this voting is done very professionally and without a glitch. So I think she deserves all that credit for putting it together. And I just urge everybody, get out and vote. If you haven't voted already, please do. It's very important that we vote, and the down ballots as well as the presidential election, but down ballots are very important. And I'm going to go a little bit to a commercial message here. This election will be over in hopefully in a month or in a period of time. We're going to start focusing on the 22 election. And for everybody that listens to this, we will probably be electing 5 new commissioners at the next go round. I don't think the 2 that can run are going to run again. The 3 of us are lame ducks. So we're going to wind up getting 5 new commissioners. Next year or sometime here, it's not too soon to start looking for some candidates to run for commissioner, especially in District 2. We have a lot to be proud of. I think we have a lot to work on, but we are going to have some candidates in the future here that I hope support the FPACC. I hope represent the District 2 fairly well. And I would like to just put the bug in people's ear, start thinking about it. There's always that person that you don't think about that maybe would be a good candidate for county commissioner. And please start thinking that way. And we don't have any women on the board. We don't have, it is not, well, it's fairly diverse in a way, but there's always room for someone to come in. So let's start thinking about a good candidate. And FPACC always gets behind. They have the forum. They a little politically motivated there, and I give you a lot of credit. So you have a homework assignment in the next year or so to start thinking where we can go and who would be a good representative of District 2 in the county. Now, the other thing is with the census, and by the way, we did extremely well. We could get redistricted in the census here a little bit in the county. We come up for that next year. So that could change things a little bit in what area we're in. And it depends on how the census plays out on this, but I think it's open for review next year. So the census will drive everything there. And I will give Linda Eisenberg a lot of credit. She did a great job of chairing the census, and Don Rao did a great job of putting this together. Carroll County is one of the top state and nationally for people completing the census and getting the information out. And that's basically some funding coming back into Carroll. If you're counted, you bring about $1,800, $18,000 over the next 5 years back to the county. So it's very important that we were counted and everything. Okay, I'm kind of coming to the end, I think, of most things. Do we have any questions from people?
I haven't seen any on the chat. Mike, have you got any questions?
I do not see any, no.
Wow. This is a first. Now, somebody has to have a question here or something come up with, but maybe if we had more, you didn't use the mute button on me, did you? So
No.
okay.
Commissioner, I'll throw out a question to you. I'll throw out a question to you. What do you see the volunteer fire departments? Is there anything that they can do to get more firefighters instead of having to pay people?
Well, part of this, we've really looked into it. Yeah, we have the tech center has a program to get some students trained. The safety training centers right there, and help people get trained. But it takes almost a year the time a 17 or 18-year-old joins the fire department till they get enough certification to ride the truck. And 17, 18-year-olds like to have some action going on. To sit through classes for ever how many hours, 350 hours, whatever they have to do before they get on that truck. We're not attracting a lot. We do attract a lot of good people, but not enough. And, at one time, it used to be, you joined the fire department, first fire, they jumped in the truck. It was kind of hands-on, learn as you go. But right now, it takes so much training and liability reasons. It's tough, but we still want the volunteers. And what happens though, the volunteers go through the school system. They work in a volunteer program for a year or 2 years. They turn 21. They apply to Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Montgomery County, or one of Howard County if they have openings, and we kind of lose them. Now, a lot of these do come back and volunteer part-time, but we need to make sure we have enough people out there to respond. And the paid part of it is coming. Every county across the country is experiencing the same thing. And you look at the lifestyle today. One time I remember in Hampstead, I went to elementary school at the senior center there in the middle of town, or senior living facility. Fire siren, not doesn't sound right, but I went to the fire siren went off. People ran out of the stores, ran to the fire department, which was right in front of the school, by the way. And somebody else in the store next door would watch their store while they were gone. They manned the fire truck, went out to whatever, took hours, and came back, went back to work. And or a lot of people allowed their employees to take off for the fire call, but they were right there. That doesn't happen anymore. The young families, they're working 10, 15, 20 miles away, maybe more. They're not there. And then they kind of get families started, get home in the evening. A lot of them really don't have the time as they get into the 30s. They do in their early 20s, but as they start families and things, they kind of don't have as much time. A lot of them come back to it later, but we do need help with getting the manpower in there. And I give them a lot of credit, and I saw firsthand what we don't have. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of apparatus, and people really trying to help, but just didn't have enough people to do what they have to do. And I am worried about 5 years in the future. We're handling it right now, but I'm looking down the road, I'd say 5 years before we'll see some of this. And hopefully we can catch up some of that and won't have this issue in 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any questions. I'm just in shock realizing that you won't be with us, but maybe a couple more years.
2
We've
years
gotten
is a
used to
long
you.
time.
We've gotten used to you,
Yeah,
and
but
you're always available.
2 years from now, I'm worried about the area. I'm worried about Finksburg and the district, and it is a concern of mine. And I will tell you, I'm going to ask a couple of questions here when any candidate that wants to come in. What do you intend to be in 10 years? And, I see some people come in, they want to change things and then move. And we're stuck dealing with the ordinances, whatever, that they came in and fought for, and they leave. They should have to live with the, repercussions of what they did here. And I am serious about that. I've seen that not so much in Carroll, but in other counties. And it's, wow, they came in and changed all this. They left, and that people left behind are suffering with the consequences or dealing with the consequences. And the other question, how do they feel about education, fire, and police? That's kind of the backbone of a county. And, their idea, if they're anti-education, if they're anti-police, anti-fire department, you're in trouble, because this county thrives on their fire departments and what they do in the communities. We have a great police force, and what we're dealing with, and they're always trying to improve. I know today they had a digital evidence management system they're trying to get us to fund in the future. But they're trying to move ahead all the time. They have the training academy, and we have some great officers in Carroll County. And police officers across the country are taking a beating. Some deserve it, but in Carroll County, I know that will not be tolerated. And I would be surprised if any one of the officers I've met over the years would not be upstanding. I'd be totally surprised. We've had an excellent police force. And education, we have a great school system. And if we continue along the lines we have, it'll continue to be good. But I am worried about education in the future. It may change a little bit. Digital learning, and I was at I can't remember, it's been quite a few years ago, how education was going to change in the future. And I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. It wasn't even, I think it was still in school, but it was at the community college, and they started looking at how education is going to change. And virtual learning was part of it, that a lot of the subjects will be taught at home. And I can see that. I remember, you have one teacher, lecture section, you have 5 or 6 assistants, you can teach 1,000 students. It takes motivated students, but, I went to the University of Maryland. I had a chemistry class. There must have been 1,000 people in the lecture section. And then it broke down with lab assistants, but that's where the, questions and all were answered. But the lecture and the basic material was done virtually. And well, at that time it was on a screen, but I equated to virtual learning. But I'm aging myself, I know, but I'm looking to see education for a lot of subjects. It may change. And right now, okay, if they offer Latin at Westminster High School, why can't we offer it at all schools virtually? We have the technology, we have it there. Open this up a little bit. And I think this is the beginning of maybe a revolution coming in education. And I equated back to the State of the County address last January, and I was focusing a little on the agricultural end. But you realize there's more technology going to happen in the next 10 years in agriculture than has happened in the last 50. And the technology is due to the cloud, due to all the technology in it. The new combines, there's, I think, 7 computers run the thing. Autonomous tractors and all kind of equipment. It's coming. It's here. We don't see too much of it, but I was in CB Huber, and he's sat in one of the new $500,000 machines, but you don't have to do a thing. I mean, you can program it or steer itself, either set itself, and then pretty much you're along for the ride. So it's here, and technology, but the technology to service these things, to set them up, to deal with them, takes a lot of education, and it's going to take it's a whole world open to the right type of people out here that want to learn and deal with that type of industry. And it's changing fast.
That's an interesting perspective on farming. I hadn't really thought about the effect of technology on farming, but very good point.
Well, I mean, we're small time here, but we have auto steer. When you plant, just hit the button and don't touch anything until you have to turn or whatever. If you do touch it, you have to go back and reset. But it's here everywhere around us. You're probably not aware of it, but it's and the technicians to deal with this are college educated to deal with the computer systems, fixing these and putting them together. All information is recorded. All data, harvest data, all application data is put together, and applications of next year's fertilizer are off of last year's production data. So it's all intertwined and put together today. And this is a new world for me anyway. So, and Diane, I don't think the horse industry is going to get quite as automated, but as fast, but never know.
Wish it would, especially when I have to clean stalls.
Well, I think short of any questions, we can go ahead and wrap up. I don't know if you had any closing remarks, or it sounds like you've you've been talking for over an hour straight. We really appreciate it.
As you said, I can talk.
Yes.
It's just, your sustainable community is my focus here, and that has to get off and running here. I thought it was off better than that, but I'll have to look into this and see what we can do and boost this a little bit. Even though FPACC has done a great job of getting noticed and put out there as far as your website and everything else going up, but I think we have to, this one needs some work. I'll try to get some help for you.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate that. We're just trying to help out business owners. We really need some help getting the word out, and I guess allaying any fears that there may be.
Well, we're gonna have to push it a little bit. And sometimes a little nudge helps.
Yeah.
And you know, Mike, I always said, 7 years ago, I had an idea. Nobody listened to me. A year later, all of a sudden, hey, that's a good idea. How do we make it happen? And it's uncanny. I hate to say it has to happen that way, but people will listen a little better now than they did before while you're in the office. So I'll try to help you get that push there. And but I hate to use it that way, but I hate to say it, but some people just respond to the fact you have an office somewhere. It doesn't matter anything else, and it's ridiculous to tell you the truth. But I think the sustainable community is a thing we need to get started down there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. So I think we are wrapping up. So I want to thank you as always for making yourself so available to the community. And we hope to do this again. I guess we do this every few months. We will invite you back again.
Got to keep up. And maybe one of these days we'll be face to face again.
In the same room. Yes, that is a goal.
It'll come, but you know what? Don't rush it. We'll get through this. Keep your mask on, keep your distance, and wash your hands. We'll get through this. If everybody would just do that for a short period, 3 weeks, we would be fine. But
yeah,
we'll get through it. And I am worried about this winter. I really am. And as if people go indoors and where we are, so we're going to have to be conscious and of everybody. If everybody helps each other through this, we'll be all right. We will. I think it's, as I said, it's halftime, as the governor said. We're going to get through the rest of it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, all.
Good night.